Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Two Girls in the Dark. I'm your host, Rachel.
And I'm your other host, Pooja.
We changed where we're sitting today because I had a pimple. Today we're going to be going over the murder or possible suicide of Cindy James. Some of you may be familiar with this case from Unsolved Mysteries. Cindy James was a woman living in British Columbia, Canada in the 1980s. And for years after her divorce, she was getting threatening phone calls, harassing letters, even acts of violence perpetrated against her. The problem was, whenever investigators looked into this, they could never locate a single perpetrator who was committing these acts of harassment against her, leading to the question, was Cindy doing all of this to herself?
From the Unsolved Mysteries episode, I honestly thought I had a clear idea of what happened. And I gotta say, after really thinking about it and talking through it, I think I have a different opinion. Well, Rachel, let's hear all about it. It's a little Canadian joke for you.
Cynthia Elizabeth Hack was born in 1944 in British Columbia to Matilda and Otto Hack, a former Royal Canadian Air Force colonel. The fourth of 6 children, Cindy spent much of her childhood moving from school to school due to her father's military career, making it difficult to form lasting friendships. Her private diaries later described her father as strict and prone to corporal punishment. Cindy enrolled in nursing school in 1962 and went on to become a pediatric nurse. In the summer of 1965, she met Roy Makepeace, a South African psychiatrist, 18 years her senior. They married in 1966, the same year she graduated. Her parents disapproved of the relationship, believing that Roy was taking advantage of her naivete given the age gap. Cindy later accused Roy of spousal abuse, while he claimed he had only slapped her twice throughout their relationship. After 16 years of marriage, the couple separated in 1982.
4 months after her divorce, Cindy began to suspect she was being stalked. Harassing phone calls started coming in. Sometimes the caller used different voices, other times there was only silence. Some calls were explicitly sexual or violent. She reported them to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, who advised her to keep a log of the calls and change to an unlisted number. 2 days later, Cindy reported hearing someone outside her home and woke to find her porch lights smashed. A few days after that, a rock was thrown through one of her windows. Soon after, she claimed someone had broken into her house and slashed a pillow on her bed. Patrick McBride, a constable with the Vancouver RCMP, suspected Cindy's estranged husband, Roy Makepeace, was behind the harassment, though Roy denied any involvement. Cindy told friends that Roy had been abusive during their marriage, yet she didn't believe he was capable of stalking her. On October 20th, 2 tenants renting the basement of Cindy's home reported hearing strange noises upstairs after she had already left for work. A next-door neighbor also told McBride she had seen a man outside Cindy's house on 3 occasions, but insisted the man did not match Roy's description. Cindy and McBride soon began a relationship that lasted about a year. Recently separated from his wife, McBride moved into Cindy's house on October 31st, 1982, initially offering to stay for 2 weeks to protect her in case the stalker returned. Shortly after moving in, he found Roy sitting in his car in an alley behind the house. Roy claimed he was there trying to catch Cindy's stalker, but left after McBride informed him he had moved in. McBride moved out of Cindy's house on December 1st, though the two continued to date casually. During Christmas week of 1982, Cindy found another disturbing note outside her home. This one read, "Merry Christmas," and included a photo of a woman with her throat slashed.
On the night of January 27, 1983, Agnes Woodcock, a friend of Cindy's, visited her house to find Cindy lying unconscious in her backyard with a nylon stocking wrapped around her neck. When she regained consciousness, Cindy told Woodcock that she was attacked from behind while walking to her garage and that the perpetrator brought her to the garage where another man waited for her. According to Cindy, the 2 men strangled and sexually assaulted her and threatened to kill her younger sister if she reported the attack. A few days later, on February 1st, Cindy relocated to West Vancouver, but still received threatening letters and phone calls there. She moved to another residence 2 months later. She had painted her car a different color and hired a private investigator, Ozzy Caban, to help her investigate. Later that year, Cindy discovered the remains of 3 strangled cats in her garden, bound with rope. On January 30th, 1984, Caban overheard strange noises on a 2-way radio he had given her for safety. When he arrived at her home, he found her unconscious in the living room with a paring knife stabbed through her hand and a note pinned beneath it. Cindy was taken to the hospital, where she told Caban the last thing she remembered was seeing a man enter her gate and strike her with a blunt object. Once she was incapacitated, she recalled him injecting her with a hypodermic needle. Doctors found a needle mark on her right arm, but no traces of drugs in her system. Cindy later took a polygraph test, which showed no clear signs of deception. The incidents escalated dramatically during the summer of 1984. On June 18th, Caban rushed to Cindy's home after a panicked phone call and found her hiding in the garden. Inside, he discovered her dog, Heidi, trembling in the basement, beside a note and several sexually explicit photos. Heidi had been physically abused and tied with the same type of rope used on the dead cats Cindy had previously found. A cigarette butt left on the windowsill didn't match the brand Cindy smoked. The harassing phone calls continued, and even one of Cindy's coworkers reported receiving an obscene phone call. On July 9th, Cindy's mother spent the night at her home and awoke to Heidi barking. She and Cindy both heard the doorbell ring and discovered a window near the front porch cracked. 2 weeks later, Cindy claimed to have been attacked while walking her dog at about 8:30 p.m. by a bearded man in a green van with a female passenger. Several hours later, she was found dazed and attempting to enter the home of a neighbor and had a nylon stocking around her neck. She was taken again to the hospital, and a receptionist told authorities a man with an accent called the front desk asking about the hospital's security policies. When police played an audio of Makepeace's voice, the receptionist felt there was a strong possibility it was him. In October 1984, while undergoing hypnotherapy, Cindy recounted a repressed memory of witnessing a double murder, but did not go into more details. While under hypnosis a few months later, she told police she saw her ex-husband murder a man and a woman and dismember their bodies with an axe while they were vacationing at a cabin in the Gulf Islands in 1981. However, Cindy's sister was with her on this vacation and has no recollection of this happening. By this point, authorities were beginning to have doubts about Cindy's accounts. She continued to receive anonymous phone calls, but none of them were long enough to be traced by the police. There were never any attacks when police watched the house. Over the entire course of the attacks, an estimated $1 to $1.5 million worth of resources was spent investigating her claims, with no evidence to corroborate a single one. In June 1985, Cindy was involuntarily committed to a psych unit after what appeared to be a suicide attempt, though she insisted she hadn't tried to kill herself. During this time, she agreed to participate in a wiretapped phone call with Roy Makepeace. When she confronted him about the memories she had recalled under hypnosis, he denied any involvement and accused her of fabricating a revenge fantasy. Authorities also investigated her claims, but found no evidence of murders or missing persons in the Gulf Islands. On August 5th, she reported a fire in her home. On August 21st, another fire broke out in the basement bathroom at her house at 4:45 a.m. Firefighters observed Cindy in a heated discussion with Caban. She claimed she was walking her dog at 3:15 a.m. and came back to the house on fire. An investigation showed no markings that an intruder had entered or exited the house. Authorities believed that she started this blaze herself.
On December 1st, Cindy moved to a new house in Richmond. 10 days later, she was found semi-conscious in a ditch about 3.7 miles from her home. She was wearing men's work boots and a single glove, and was found with a nylon stocking around her neck. She was suffering from hypothermia and taken to a hospital, where it was suspected she had been injected with a tranquilizer. Cindy had no memory of what happened. In early 1986, Cindy legally changed her last name from Makepeace to James in an effort to conceal her identity. To help her feel safer, her friends Agnes and Tom Woodcock often stayed overnight at her home. On April 16th, the couple was awakened by Cindy, who said she heard a commotion inside the house. They discovered a fire had been set in the basement, and when they tried to call the fire department, the phone line was dead. Tom ran to a neighbor's house to call the police and claim he saw a man in the street who fled when he tried to approach him. Cindy was again admitted to a psychiatric ward for 2 weeks. At first, doctors noted that she spoke only in one-word answers, avoided eye contact, and refused to discuss certain topics. During a later evaluation, however, her demeanor had changed. She was more communicative and maintained good eye contact. After her release, Cindy's father said that she admitted to withholding information about the attacks, claiming she knew the identity of her assailant, but refused to reveal his name. Even after her release, the attacks continued. On October 11, 1988, Roy Makepeace received 2 disturbing messages on his answering machine. 2 weeks later, Cindy was found unconscious in her garage, hogtied, nude from the waist down, with a nylon stocking wrapped around her neck. A knot expert later examined the bindings and concluded it was highly unlikely that Cindy could have tied them herself.
On May 25, 1989, at around 4 p.m., Cindy picked up her paycheck from Richmond General Hospital. She then bought groceries at a Safeway supermarket and stopped by the Bank of Montreal at the Blundell Shopping Center, where she deposited her paycheck at 7:59 p.m. That evening, she was supposed to play bridge with her friends Tom and Agnes Woodcock. When she didn't show up or call, they went to her house around 10 p.m. and found it locked with her car missing. Driving past the shopping center, they discovered her car abandoned in the parking lot and immediately filed a missing persons report. Investigators found blood located inside the car on the driver's side door, as well as groceries and a wrapped birthday gift for her friend's son. Contents from Cindy's wallet were found under the car. A search conducted by the Canadian Coast Guard came up empty-handed. 2 weeks later, on June 8th, a municipal paving worker discovered Cindy's body in the backyard of an abandoned house in Richmond. She was hogtied, with a rope behind her back. As in previous attacks, a nylon stocking was tightly wrapped around her neck. The property sat along a busy street near an intersection with frequent pedestrian traffic. On the home's exterior fuel tank, someone had spray painted the words, "Some bitch died here." A forensic entomologist determined that Cindy's body had begun decomposing at the scene as early as June 2nd, 6 days before. Toxicology reports revealed that Cindy had 10 times the lethal dose of morphine in her bloodstream, along with evidence that she had ingested roughly 20 30-milligram tablets of flurazepam and multiple tablets of diazepam, a fatal combination. Toxicologists were unable to determine how the morphine had been administered. They noted that if it had been injected, Cindy would have lost consciousness within minutes and died within several hours. The overdose was deemed so large that there was no reliable estimate of how long Cindy could have remained functional. Private investigator Ozzy Caban believed that because of the settling of her blood post-mortem on the left side of her body, when she had been found on her right side, possibly indicated that she had died elsewhere and was relocated to the site where her body was discovered. Cindy's funeral was held on June 14th. Her ex-husband, Roy Makepeace, was not in attendance.
An inquest into Cindy's death took place in 1990, which consisted of 5 jurors and testimony from more than 80 witnesses. During Roy's testimony, he made various accusations against Cindy's family, alleging that her father had physically abused her and one of her brothers had molested her. Roy also accused the police of trying to frame him. It was also revealed that after her death, Cindy's parents uncovered various medications in Cindy's home, including sedatives and antipsychotic drugs prescribed by her psychiatrists. Her parents flushed these medications down the toilet. Testimonies were provided from several psychiatrists and psychologists. One suspected he believed Cindy suffered from hysterical personality disorder. Another believed she had borderline personality disorder with elements of PTSD. It could not be determined whether or not Cindy had tied herself in the state she was discovered in. A knot expert demonstrated how she could have bound herself within a 3-minute time frame, which would have been before the effects of the narcotics found in her system would have taken effect. 1 year after she disappeared, on May 25, 1990, the inquest concluded. The jury was unable to determine if her death was a result of a suicide, accident, or homicide. The case was closed after it was ruled Cindy had died from an unknown event. Welcome back, everyone. Sorry for the wait.
We can't isolate our Canadian...
I've never been to Canada.
You've never been to Canada?
No.
Really?
I went to Niagara Falls once, if that counts.
I guess that counts. I've only been to French-speaking Canada. I've been to Quebec, and my mom took Will and I to Montreal for 12 hours. We drove all the way up there from Jersey, and then they got bored, so we went
Who
back.
got bored?
My mom and my brother.
I like that this implies you weren't bored.
No, I actually was having a great time because I was 20 in the summer of 2012, and I could drink legally there, so I was having a ball. I was excited that I could just order a beer.
God, we're so old. You were 20 in 2012?
So were you.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, like I said, I definitely thought what everyone else did, what the authorities thought. I thought she did it herself. I thought she was torturing herself and harassing herself. But then there's a couple things that are bothering me about this where it doesn't really match up. And I don't think it's really straightforward, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely... I mean, all the cases that we've covered so far, we've chosen them because they're not clear-cut, like, this is what happened, and it's just... It's weird, but this is definitely what happened. Like, I can definitely see the argument for that she did it to herself, that someone was doing it to her. It's hard, both things, to believe that someone could be torturing someone like this.
Right.
It's almost even scarier to think that someone could be doing this to themselves.
Yeah, and it's a little... I mean, if you take a look at the timeline of this, like, it's what, an 8-9 year period?
7 years. But it started... like 4 months after her divorce.
Right.
Which, can we start off by saying what a weird guy he seems like?
Yeah, exactly. Like, he seems really weird.
Yeah.
Don't sit in my driveway.
Yeah. He was 16 years older than her, and she was 22 when they got married. They got married, like, right after she graduated college.
Which, like, the 80s. I don't know. Something I chalk up.
This was in the 60s when they got married.
Oh, right. Yeah.
They got divorced.
Even worse.
In the 80s,
yeah.
I mean, what older man doesn't want a hot young babe? Christoph Waltz, if you're watching this, you know where to find me. But I get that happens, but looking at it where it's a situation where this woman is obviously either experiencing mental disturbance to herself or being harassed, you do have to kind of look at the guy and say, what involvement did he have in this?
Right, and I feel like the investigation into Roy wasn't that deep.
Yeah.
But that's just from what we know.
I wonder if he had alibis. And one thing that I wondered, was he, like, hiring someone to do this to her?
Right.
Or was someone... I don't think there's ever been anything corroborating this, but if he had, like, another woman that he was harassing Cindy with, I don't... No one's ever said that, but that's just something that I wondered, if Roy were actually doing this to Cindy, could he have some involvement with, like, a partner? I showed you that voicemail that was one that I believe Roy Makepeace received. And I was curious what you had to think about it, because when I first heard that, I thought, that sounds like a woman.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it sounded like Cindy.
It's so funny because I remember when we were talking, first of all, yes, sounds like a woman to me. That voice, it sounds like a woman lowering her, like, voice in a gravelly, dead meat. But that brings me to my second point. I'm reminded of how weird some of the language was in the Circleville letters.
Oh, yeah.
And how weird the language is in these notes as well.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
That's so funny. I didn't make that connection. But yeah, Circleville, there was the, you L sickos will pay here.
Right.
Like, dead meat. Like, whatever.
It's just like, whether it was Cindy herself or someone that knew Cindy or, like, Roy's new girlfriend or whatever, it just feels a little bit it's like so weird, and it's also maybe too close to home. Like in Circleville, like our conjecture is that it's someone with
Mm-hmm.
in that group. Here, I kind of feel like it's not some rando.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely feels personal.
Yeah, and it's because they're so weirdly non-specific.
I wonder, like, if it were something that was personal that she had actually done, you would think that that would have been addressed
Right.
in a harassment to her.
Right.
Like if I'm not saying this happened, but if she were seeing someone who was married and this hurt wife was harassing her,
Uh-huh.
you would think that that harasser would say that she was like sleeping with that husband or something like
Right.
that. Not just random letters received saying dead meat, die bitch. Like
Yeah.
it just doesn't, it seems personal but for no reason.
Yeah, like that's my question. What did she do?
Yeah.
The facts that we have are that she got a divorce.
Yeah.
And that her husband slapped her twice.
Yeah.
Which is not acceptable, but like is that like she was saying he was abusive, so it points to him, but then she was also saying it wasn't him, so
Yeah. And if you want to play devil's advocate here and say, because she had recalled through hypnotherapy years later
right.
that he had murdered someone, she wasn't bringing that up. Like if he were afraid, if that happened, I don't think that happened, but if it did, and he was afraid about her going to the police because now they're divorced, don't you think that he would have been doing that after she started talking about, like,
I think that's the hard part about these. Like again, I'm going to compare Circleville to this. Why aren't we able to track down who writes letters and things?
Well, I think for a lot of the letters, they were cut out from like magazine clippings. Right. But actually, something that I had just thought of as we were reading this was like no one has ever reported seeing like these magazines in her house or like
right.
anything in her garbage. You would think that that would be, if they are assuming that she did it, you would think that that would be the first thing that they would look for was evidence that she had written it.
Right.
But they never, if they did, they never said anything about finding cut magazines and newspapers in her garbage.
Again, I think I've said this several times. I may be watching too much SVU. I am confused about how the parents had enough time to get into her house and throw her pills in the toilet. That is evidence, don't you think?
Based off at least the Unsolved Mysteries interview with them, they come off as very strict.
Yeah.
They have an image to keep, and he was in the military.
Yep.
I mean, her mother even said it in the Unsolved Mysteries interview that they had, where she kind of refused that Cindy would have committed suicide in the way that she was found tied and with morphine. She had said that she was a proud woman and she would have put her dogs somewhere,
put outside,
and that she would have just taken pills and have gone to sleep.
Yep.
And that she was very adamant that the way that Cindy was found, if that were that she wouldn't have committed suicide that way, which I took as being extreme denial. There's so many times people say, I didn't know this person was struggling like this.
Right.
So how can you even say that's how they would have done it?
Yeah, it's actually horrible on so many levels.
Yeah.
It's horrible to imagine, first of all, your daughter doing something like that to herself, to anybody, but especially herself. And then it is horrible to judge her for the way that she might have done it.
Yeah. I didn't take it as her judging. I really took it as like extreme denial.
What's might be true is that if Cindy did this to herself, if she took part in in harassing herself and also ended her own life, I think there had to have been truly irreparable damage preceding that, whether that was her husband, whether that was her upbringing, whether that was both. I'm like, or not. There's not enough information to me about the people, her life before the stalking.
Yeah. It sounds like her home life was not great. It sounds like she was possibly like physically abused by her father, and then her marriage didn't seem too different than the way her father treated her. I mean, if her husband is openly saying, yeah, I slapped her twice. Like,
I mean, he probably thought that was an okay thing to do because, again, we're in the 60s, 70s, 80s. Like,
yeah.
it's so funny because as weird as I think Roy is, like, is he a killer? Is he an abuser? Is he a stalker? We don't know.
We don't know too much about him. He wasn't interviewed
Yeah.
by Unsolved Mysteries. To my knowledge, I don't think he's been publicly interviewed anywhere. I don't get the vibe from him. Not a good guy, but I don't get the vibe from him that he was harassing her. And if you recall, the one constable who I would love to talk about this in a minute with you, McBride,
Yeah.
and Roy were like trying to work together to find this stalker.
Yeah.
At least that's what he said. Roy could have been stalking her at the beginning and then just playing it off like, no, I'm trying to find the stalker.
Right.
I don't think he was a great guy, but I don't think he was stalking Cindy. If he was doing something, maybe he was like, maybe he didn't want to get divorced and then at the beginning was trying to like get her back in a way. I mean, get her back, like not revenge wise, but like win her over or something.
Right.
But I think once she started telling the story of him murdering people, I think that he was just like, yeah, she's crazy. I'm not doing it. I'm trying to distance myself. He didn't go to the funeral.
Right. Insane twist that she started dating McBride.
I love that. I wish that I could have that effect on men. I don't think I do. But
why do you think they broke up?
So the timeline is 4 months after the divorce. This is September 82. Cindy starts to think that she's getting stalked.
Right.
She's getting like her porch lights are smashed, rocks thrown through her door, the pillow slashed. So she calls the police to report what's been happening. And Patrick McBride is the constable who is dispatched to her and helps her. And then on October 20th, so a month after these stalker reports happened, McBride moves in. And I'm assuming that they're dating. They are dating. They started a relationship.
Yeah.
And that, I'm sure, was really healthy. And then shortly after moving in, like he's investigating her stalker still. He's helping her track this guy down. And then he moves out December 1st. And they still casually dated. But he didn't move in again.
How did they keep the investigation separate? And also, was she harassed in that time?
Yes, she was. What I think, maybe, and I don't, but if I understood the psyche of a man for a moment, I think what maybe happened was he's like, hey, like, I could totally help you with this stalker that you have. Why don't you help me move in? I'll stay on the couch. I'm a police officer. Like, I'm just doing my job. So I'd be willing to bet the conversation kind of went.
Yeah.
Something like that. And then maybe he moved out because, I don't know, maybe he was just looking for something kind of quick, or he was preying on her vulnerable. Maybe he was preying on her vulnerability.
Do we think like he did a slow Homer Simpson into the bushes after living with her for a year?
You don't need me anymore, baby. I'm still getting harassed. You're fine.
Yeah, I think it's just interesting that was like an undercurrent of the investigation, especially in the beginning. And
you would think that, and again, different time, but you would think that like someone in the police department would have looked into that and been like, that's weird.
And this is where living in Canada is something I've never done.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just can't believe you call the horseback police. Is that Royal
Mounted Canadian Police?
Yeah, they're mounted.
Yeah.
So it's like he's got a horse?
Yeah, did he show up on a horse to her house? How'd that work out? Where'd he put the horse? Did she have a stable? Is her garage a stable?
I don't know what Canada looks like.
That is weird that no one in the police department, at least as far as we know, was like, hey, you really shouldn't be like investigating a case and moving in with making a relationship with the woman who's being harassed.
Right. I mean, in general, can we whip out an Uncle Bob rating out here? Because I feel a little bit iffy about the police. It feels like they did everything they could, but like, did they?
I didn't really consider what my Uncle Bob's rating would be for this. I think that one detective whose name escapes me, but
Ozzy?
no, the smug one.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
He had weird eyes. Yeah, go ahead, forget his name.
Like, you ever meet someone and they're an asshole, but you know they're right?
I try not to meet those people, but yeah.
I get that vibe from him, like, where he was saying over 90 reported incidents, they could never find any evidence that anyone was doing it. No one ever saw anything. He brought up the point at one point that she was walking her dog at 3 a.m, and if you are afraid for your life and being harassed and stalked, are you really go walk my dog at 3 a.m? You know what I mean? So he definitely brought up some valid points, and like, it seemed like the police department did everything that they could to look into these cases and give her credibility that, like, she was being targeted in these attacks. But if you're not going to find anything, or if it's so bizarre that this person is doing it to themselves and that's why you're not going to find anything, what else could they do?
Yeah.
I don't blame them for starting to have their doubts.
Yeah.
Because it's not like they did put like $1.5 million worth of time and effort into investigating her claims and found nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of don't blame them. I think I would give them, in terms of an Uncle Bob's rating, probably like a 3 or 4.
Yeah, I was thinking 3.5, yeah.
Yeah, 3. I would go with 3.5 as well. That's what I would go with.
Yeah.
They get point deductions for their smugness and also the fact that one of them started dating her pretty early on.
It does feel like there's a little bit of conflicting information at times, though, about this case from the police and investigators, right? Like, there's some of the medical evidence about, like, how she died, like...
Changing it from that, like, she couldn't have tied those knots, but then maybe she could have. Yep. And the morphine would have killed her, but...
Yep. If she had injected it, it would have hit her immediately. Yeah,
like the timing of based on how she had injected or consumed the morphine would have changed how quickly it would have affected her, and based on a certain time frame between when she had taken it, she could have done it to herself. It's just so weird, though.
Yeah. I think there are some interesting also consistencies with these harassments that she was experiencing. The two things I noticed, obviously, was the nylon stocking. Felt like a signature.
That was like every single...
Yeah, which is like...
If I were a police officer, first thing I would do would be, okay, how many nylon stockings are in your drawer?
Yeah.
And then see if they go... With the attacks, is there a correlation between how many are in your drawer now?
Or is there someone else out there choking women with nylon stockings?
Yeah.
It's an MO, right?
Yeah.
And then the fires. The fact that there was so much fire involved is kind of crazy.
And I think what's kind of leading me to think that she was doing it, the one in the basement with her friends who were staying over, it was found that it was started in the basement. There was no way someone could have entered or exited. I had listened to a podcast that was actually narrated by Pamela Adlon called Death from an Unknown Event about this case.
Oh.
I was on the fence about, did Cindy do this to herself? Did someone relentlessly stalk her and torment her over the years? It was up until that point where I said, I think she was doing it to herself.
Oh.
But I don't know if she knew she was doing it to herself, because she seemed to love her friends.
Yeah.
And she seemed to love her animals, and I don't think she would have willingly put their lives in danger.
Right.
So I do wonder if she was suffering from some personality disorder where she was just harming herself, and she had admitted to her father that she was withholding information. And I wonder if maybe Cindy had some kind of inkling that she was doing it to herself and didn't want to either admit that or make her family worry about her, because they do seem like the type of family who, if they had known she was suffering from mental illness, that they would have intervened and maybe done something that she wouldn't have wanted to do, like put her away somewhere.
Yeah, which is like ultimately what you wish had happened, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well, and she had stayed
Yeah.
at hospitals before, and like it had been reported sometimes that she was like very open, but then sometimes very closed off.
Yeah.
And I don't know, sometimes people have off days or not,
Yeah.
but it sounds like there was maybe like someone in there struggling.
yeah. There has to have been some kind of psychosis attached to this,
Yeah.
I think. And I don't actually know what mental health was like in the 80s, and if it was well equipped enough to really understand the depth of what she could have been going through.
Yeah. I mean, probably today there isn't
Yeah.
better, but like probably today, if this were even happening today, we'd probably still be questioning
Yeah.
what had happened. I kind of wonder if what happened here is a mix of two things. If she was being stalked,
Yeah.
like maybe if at the beginning Roy was harassing her,
Yeah.
and then it kind of spiraled into something else, like an obsession or something. I had a stalker. Fortunately, it didn't really escalate beyond what it did. Like, it was really just someone like calling me nonstop,
Right.
blowing up my voicemail.
Yeah.
Fortunately, stopped after a certain point, and then I learned this person was a little person. And then I was like, okay, I could probably take him if like worse comes to worse. But it was just someone from like Tinder or something that like I never met, and then I blocked him. There are weirdos out there. For a while, like it definitely escalated in my mind to something else.
Yeah.
Like what's gonna happen? Like what?
Yep.
It was bad, but it probably in my mind escalated to something much worse.
Yeah.
And who knows what Roy did to her during their marriage.
Right.
Like, let's say he is harassing her after they immediately divorce. Let's say he doesn't want the divorce. And in her mind, it's becoming much worse than just these letters.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just interesting to think about, and sad to think about all the different ways you can start to torture yourself, and right, the kind of truths you can convince yourself of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a story you see from any kind of bullying, any kind of trauma. Like, someone else starts it, but you can really carry it forward if you're not seeking the right amount of help.
Yeah. Or if you like hate yourself.
Yeah.
As much as you feel that these people hate you.
Yeah.
And like if you feel like you deserve that pain inflicted on you.
Yeah.
It's really sad. And I kind of think that's what happened here with Cindy.
Yeah, I think there are some incidences that don't feel like they were her.
Yeah.
But maybe she was inspired by them to continue them onto herself.
Yeah, like maybe she got ideas from like certain ways she was attacked. Like it seems like
it's like you repeat the trauma, right?
Yeah.
To try to figure it out. And
her neighbors had reported seeing like people outside her.
That's creepy.
Yeah. Or like some of her coworkers had received threatening calls.
Right.
When she was at work.
Right.
So like how is someone doing that?
Right.
Roy had received calls. Roy had received that one call, Cindy, dead meat.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. This person was not creative with their
and
harassment.
Again, the harassment wasn't specific about a specific thing.
Yeah. It wasn't like, stop seeing my man, or you are, like, that was my apartment, or, like, whatever. Like, and the fact that, like, she had moved so many times, and this person was still able to find her, either tells me it was a really good stalker, or it was someone who was very close to her. Almost as close as herself.
Yeah.
I don't think the way she was found that she did try to kill herself.
Yeah, okay, yeah, the moving of the body.
Yeah, that was weird. I obviously don't know enough about forensic analysis to say if that could just be something that's like a weird coincidence,
right.
Or obviously if this PI knows, like, that's weird that the post-mortem would be on one side of the body and she was found on the opposite side. I'm gonna go with, he probably knows his stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know, what if someone like completely unrelated found the body and was like,
I gotta move her to this abandoned lot?
I don't know, like, that's what's weird about, like, I don't think anyone would, if it were kids, like, kids would just kind of like look at her or like touch it or something.
Right.
But like I can't picture like teenagers moving it.
Yeah, and then wouldn't they have, like, found those fingerprints or something?
Yeah, and that area had heavy pedestrian traffic.
Right.
So you would have thought that someone would have found it.
Maybe whoever found
But also it was on, like, a busy intersection, so you would think that someone would see someone dragging a body.
Right. I mean, like, do you think maybe whoever found it was afraid that if they called it in, it would seem like they did it, or they would be...
Well, he gave his name, like,
Right.
like, it's someone who identified themselves, so...
Right. Well, someone else who called them in, so... I'm saying, like, the person who moved it might have been afraid.
Oh, but then why would they move it?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know enough about that to really have an opinion on it,
well, that's the thing that makes it feel like maybe it wasn't a little silly. Yeah.
I mean, and it seemed like she had deposited her paycheck. She had bought a gift for her friend's son. She bought groceries. But again, if she's struggling with multiple personality disorder or dissociative personality disorder, she doesn't have control over when that other personality is taking over.
Yeah, and honestly, from what I know, it's not like you see in the movies where it's like, someone else is coming out of me, or like you're complete, like there's so much more nuance to it. Yeah. Where you are the same person, you're just having a completely different outlook on the world.
It's not Jekyll and Hyde.
It's not Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, I'm sure that exists, but I don't think that is really borderline or that is really dissociative.
Another way that Hollywood makes things kind of unrealistic.
Black and white, they make things black and white for us.
So that's what's easy to understand.
Although Jekyll and Hyde is in Hollywood.
Well, it's been done by Hollywood. You know what was interesting? When Cindy was in college, she had referred to an unnamed intern she had met during her studies and claimed that they had been engaged, but then that he had terminal cancer and that he committed suicide when they were on a skiing trip. Neither her parents nor her siblings ever met the man, and Cindy never even gave them a name.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, that's traumatic in itself, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But it also makes me wonder, was that made up?
Uh-huh. Do we think the story that she told about Roy killing someone?
I don't think. They never found, there was never anyone who went missing over there. There were never any bodies found. Her sister was on that trip and didn't recall anything. Yeah. That's what kind of makes me wonder, is Cindy making things up, and did this traumatic relationship, was this something that happened, or was it something that Cindy made up? And it is weird to be with someone, be as close to get engaged with them, and not even tell your parents what their name is.
I mean, this kind of, like, the psychosis that we're talking about, it does become related to lying, to convince yourself of things and making up stories.
For me, the smoking gun is that Cindy told her parents that she was withholding information.
Yeah.
I think that she knew, based on how strict they were and how they had treated her growing up. And I think the fact, like, if she was going to different schools because of her dad's career, she never was able to form long-lasting friendships.
Yeah.
She probably had an incredibly difficult childhood. Having your family be the only people that you're allowed to be close to, and then having them be so strict and unwelcoming and possibly physically abusive. I could also see someone not wanting to divulge information like that.
Yeah. Why would she tell them she knew more than she did?
Maybe she kind of thought she would be able to figure it out by a certain point of time, and kind of was like, I'll tell them this right now. I'll try to fix it on my own while I can.
Yeah. And
never was able to.
It could also have been something that she, said in a moment of her own denial of, like, I know who this is, and her parents took it too seriously because they also hoped that they knew that there was an answer.
Yeah. One thing I also thought was really interesting, like, again, we talked about how the fire started with her friends, the woodcocks, but she seemed to love them, and then her animals were sometimes hurt, but she loved her animals.
Yeah.
She worked with children, and no one ever had reported her. Nurses can, like, definitely have that power to, like, hurt people. She never did that.
Yeah, I think that maybe, like, it sounds like her career was something that like grounded her
Mm.
a little bit.
I do know people who can do that, like have one face on the outside, and when they get home, just they are a completely different person.
And that is even more of a sign, I think, of borderline or those kinds of disorders, or disordered thinking, because it's not Jekyll and Hyde specifically, but it is like someone who can focus at their job and can put their all into that and knows what that takes, but like forgets the rules when it comes to their personal life.
Maybe when they're at home and they're able to let their guard down, that's when it all comes on loose.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of Silent Hill 2.
Yeah, I never played that game, but the nurse
great.
is a very popular costume on TikTok right now.
Yeah. There is one of the monsters is a nurse. This guy, he goes to this town. The town like manifests your feelings. His wife died 3 years ago, and he gets a letter that she's in Silent Hill, and a lot of monsters around, and they're trying to get James. His name is James, and this is Cindy James. Where this reminds me of Cindy James's cases, one of the main monsters that keeps coming back is Pyramid Head. You've seen Pyramid Head, right?
Yeah.
And he's like a manifestation of James wanting guilt for what? I will not spoil. But he wants like to experience the guilt because he did something that he feels bad about.
Oh.
And I'm not saying Cindy did anything to like warrant like guilt, but this kind of like reminds me of her like punishing herself and like not realizing what she is doing.
I mean, she could feel guilt for something that's not her fault.
Yeah. That's another common thing you see in cases of physical and sexual abuse.
Yeah.
Maybe that actually there is a character in Silent Hill who is in Silent Hill for that exact same reason.
Yeah.
It's a good game. You should check it out.
Yeah, it's
actually, I think story-wise, might be my favorite game of all time.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
It sounds great. It sounds like I need to be in a psychologically stable place to play it.
I wouldn't recommend playing it if you're moving and things are stressful.
Oh, you wouldn't recommend that I take a psychological trip while I'm shifting homes?
Anyway. Well, I think this was a good episode.
We think this was a great episode.
Cindy didn't deserve the punishments that she got, whether or not she was doing them to herself or if someone was doing it to her. I think this was a case of a little bit of both.
We just want to say this because we know this, this case does include the sensitive topic of suicide. If you or someone you know is experiencing suicidal thoughts, please reach out to the Suicide Lifeline. There's a website. There's a phone number. There's all kinds of resources for people in a crisis. So please reach out and
don't make a temporary solution a permanent problem.
Correct. Well, on that note, Rachel.
Wait, don't make a temporary problem a permanent solution.
That makes way more sense. Yeah. Cindy James, didn't expect this one to be so such a tale of twists and turns, but it really was. If you have any other stories you'd love us to cover, leave us a comment, like and subscribe as always.
We really appreciate any feedback that you have. If you're liking what we're doing, please subscribe. We're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Hey. And YouTube, in case you're listening to this on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. There's also that.
But until next time.
We'll see you in the dark.